Hello, this is Alan with Submerged Nation, and today we're going to be talking about the difference between blade fins and split fins. Now, we'll talk about blade fins first because that's what most people are familiar with. Now, each blade fin is a little bit different. However, they're essentially the same in that they have a paddle here, they have the rails here. Those might channel the water differently and they might have different stiffnesses, but essentially they're going to be the same in principle. And when you use them, you're doing that full leg kick like this. And with that full leg kick, it's creating thrust in the water, and it kind of fans out in a V with that propulsion. However, when that goes out, this bit on the top, this bit on the bottom becomes less and less effective propelling you forward, and therefore it's a little bit wasted. Also, you'll find that there's quite a bit of effort with these, especially in a current, and sometimes people can just feel exhausted with these types of fins. We do, however, have a solution, and that is the split fin. Now, the split fins look quite a bit different. They do have this split, and on any split fin that you find on the market, they'll typically have this Nature's Wing logo. Now, with the Nature's Wing story, essentially, a man has patented these, and when he first came up with the idea, he was looking at all these different fish in the water and said, why do they all have V's in their tails? Why do they have all these splits? Maybe I'll try them on fins. And sure enough, he did, and he found that they just were more effective. However, there is a little bit of a different kicking strategy that's involved. With these, instead of doing that full leg kick, you're really only having to do a little flutter kick with your ankles like this. And as you do that flutter kick, this is going to flex and channel the water behind you. So instead of V'ing out like this, it basically brings it directly behind you and makes for a more efficient propulsion as you go through the water. You do miss out on a little bit of that initial momentum, that initial acceleration. However, you can actually get it going faster with these than you can with the blade fins. They just require less work. If you're going to think about it in the terms of boats, think about a paddle boat steamer for your paddle fins or your blade fins. And with these, they're like a propeller where they're creating that vortex behind you, propelling you forward. And the more you kick with these, it's basically the higher RPMs. With these that you can get through a current in split fins, it's just going to require a bunch of little flutter kicks, and you'll find that you just go through it slowly, whereas with the blade fins you just have to power through it, and you may or may not get through that current. Also, because the split fins require less effort, your body's not having to use as much oxygen. What will that do to your dive time? It should be making it longer. So, you're getting more out of your dive. Not only is your dive longer typically, but there's less effort, and typically it's more enjoyable. For most every diver, these are going to be suitable. As an instructor, you may say, hey look, I would like to work with blades whilst I'm with students so I can respond to those in need faster, and that's understandable. But a lot of instructors will find that they can operate with these just fine if they're working in the right ratios and parameters with students in the water. With these, they are a little bit more expensive initially, typically. However, when you think about how often you'll be using them, and that they're your mobility in the water, and that you're going to be getting a little bit more each dive, they'll actually be looking at paying for themselves quite quickly. Out of the pieces of dive gear that one should look at owning, I would recommend your masks because you're there to see cool stuff, and your fins especially because that's what gives you that mobility and that ability to get through the water and where you want to go. If you have any other questions, just let me know. This is Alan from Submerged Nation signing off.